Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going today? I'm the Digital Ham, and today I'm bringing you guys a tutorial that is specifically on how to record vocals in FL Studio. Now, this is a tutorial that's probably going to take quite a bit of time, so I want to go ahead and just put this out really quickly that this probably is going to be number one of a multi-part series, because unfortunately in about 10 minutes time, even though I can record longer, I'm not going to try to jam all this in. There's a lot to cover. So, with that out of the way, I want to go ahead and make a couple statements. If you are new to recording, or if you've been recording for a long time, this may vary. If you're new and you just got yourself a setup of home studio and you're excited to make some recordings, there's nothing wrong with that. I do want to caution you, though, that do not have unrealistic expectations of what you're going to get out of that recording. I'm not trying to diminish people's hope. I'm not trying to piss on anybody's parade, but a home studio will never be to the equivalent of a multi-million-dollar facility studio, professional grade, that they have all the technology and the right guy to sit behind the computer and all that stuff. So I want to make that clear. Now, does that mean that you can't make good recordings and make great audio and music through a home studio? No, I don't believe that one bit. I think that you can put out phenomenal stuff. I just don't think that it's ever going to be good enough where somebody's like, oh, wow, that sounds like the radio. I might be wrong on that. That might just be my interpretation, but there's a lot of years of experience that have to go into that product that you hear on the radio, even though a lot of people think that the stuff on the radio sounds like shit. So I say that to say this. If you're under the impression that the more money you throw at the problem, the better the solution is going to be and the better the outcome will be, I have to say you're probably mistaken. I can go in and spend $30,000 on the best home recording studio that $30,000 will provide. And if I don't have the right techniques, the right principles, it's really not going to hold up. Meaning if I go in there and record and have all my stuff set up, but improperly using wrong techniques, I'm going to get a recording that was done on a $7,000 microphone that sounds just as shitty. Now it's going to sound really good shitty, because you're getting that good fidelity and good quality through that microphone, but microphone's not going to turn somebody who's a shitty singer into a great singer. That's the reality of it. So there's a lot of things. You have to do things right, and you can take some very low budget stuff and make it sound really great. So don't get that discouraged, and keep that in the back of your mind. Let me take a sip of water before we get started here. So I have pulled up FL Studio. It is present, and I'm on a track. This track has never been named. It is called Remix in my in FL Studio, but pretty much the background behind this track is I made this track up. It's just a very simple bass line, very simple track, and I had a friend of mine who listened to it. His name's Jay Lyrics, and he said, "Listen, let me write some lyrics for it." I said, "No problem." And he came over one day. We recorded part of the lyrics. This by no means is the full thing, but this little section right here is just a snippet that we're going to be taking a look at, and just to give you guys an idea of what we're working with. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and just play the raw vocals. Now, there are effects on these vocals, but it's not anything that's extremely groundbreaking. You can still hear the vocals very clearly. Footnote really quickly. This was recorded, and unfortunately I was using my mixer board. I didn't know it at the time, but there was an effects on there that was an echo, or not an echo, but a reverb. That reverb is not super pronounced, but it's enough that it went on the main channel recording, meaning when I did the recording, instead of it being in a rack and let me show you this so you have an understanding. These are my two vocals right here, okay? And right here is my effects rack. So it was not in here. It was actually on the physical side over actually on my mixer. So that is a very big no-no. I did not know it at the time that it happened, and then I went back and listened to the recording. I'm like, why is there still reverb on here? That's why. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen to this track, and let's see what
she say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
Why you always act like you'll never come back? Get you in your feelings, but you'll never relax. Feeling for your love, going out bad. Feeling for your love, and I'm going outside.
Okay. So what this is this is vocal dubbing. I took two samples and put them together and used them to fatten out the sound. Now, and I don't want to get too deep in this. These are direct replicas, okay, of the same thing. They're literally clones. Generally, what you want to do is you want to make your recordings. You want to record as many takes as possible, get the best ones, sort through them, make sure they sound good, and then you want to match them up by tone and everything, and make sure they complement each other. And then you want to layer those two. So this would be your best track, and this would be your best of, number 44 take. Okay, and you want to back those up. That's what they would use for a doubling the vocal, or what I call dubbing the vocal, where you're literally putting one vocal on top of the other vocal to make it fattened out. Now, there are some people that will literally do this 3 times. What they will do is they will put one in the left channel, one in the right channel, and one in the center. That way it gives you a full stereo surround sound to it. Like I said, fattens it out. That's a pretty simple technique that a lot of people use and put into play. As I said, this was going to be about recording vocals. So now that you hear this, I want to show you guys what it sounds like in the actual track. Now, by no means is this complete. By no means is this mixed and mastered. I have not mastered it or mixed it. I'm still in this process. This is something I'm doing for the fun. I'm not really getting paid to do it. I'm just kind of, messing around with it. If it ever is finished, then I will completely clean it up, export it into an audio file, give it to him in maybe a zip drive, and let him take it and do with it what he may. So let's listen.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
Why you always act like you'll never come back? Get you in your feelings, but you'll never relax. Feeling for your love, going out bad. Feeling for your love, and I'm going outside.
Bass is way up. All right, I'm not going to mess with that. Okay, so there's your track with the audio and the video, or the audio and the vocals mixed into it. Now, like I said, it's not mastered or mixed. So that is the raw basics. Now, if I wanted to record vocals and slam them in here, one of the first processes that I'm going to do is, and look at this. It's ridiculous. A lot of it's not being used. A lot of it's duplicates and stuff like that to add different elements to the song. So the first thing I would do, and just for an example, I would come to one of these empty racks where it says insert, and I would select one. So there's nothing in this rack. And what I would want to do is I would want to record my vocal and I'd have to pick an input. Now, unfortunately, right now, it's not going to let me do that because I'm using the microphone here, and it's using a different process, so it can't free it up. But what you would do is you click on this. It would have a fall-down menu. That fall-down menu, you could pick any one of the inputs that you want, and most likely it's going to be, if you're using an XLR microphone, it's probably going to be a USB input. If you're using an actual plug-in microphone or a mixer, there's different things you can choose from. So whatever you're using, if you're using a Snowball or whatever mic, you need to find that appropriate mic and line it up. Now, that's that part. Now, there's two different ways that we can go about this. Now, I'm going to talk about the one that I really don't care for as much. And the reason being is it just turns into a pain in the ass. And that is Edison. Okay? This program right here is a little software thing. You can do all your recording in and of itself. You can cut, trim, clean up. You can even do right here. It's got effects. You can do an equalization on there. You can do all kinds of different stuff. It's a very, very handy tool. Now, when you hit this button, it's going to take whatever is in this playlist, and it's going to send it to the main track. Okay, and that is great. It's an easy way for you to do it. But it gets a little hectic. In my opinion, it's just more time consuming. And some people might disagree with this, and that's perfectly fine. If it's a one solid track and I'm not going to go in there and do a lot of editing, yeah, I'll record it in Edison. If it's just a few little small snippets or whatever, that's fine. What I generally do is record to the track. Okay, I'm recording to the track. I would highlight this. I would go to, say, number 9 again. I would hit this button right here and activate it. That's letting you know that you're recording to the hard drive. You're recording to the actual main track. Okay, so I would highlight that. I'd come back over here, and I would right-click. Make sure that your audio is selected, and I push start. Once I start, it's ready to go. It's going to give me a 3, 2, 1 countdown, which is selected. You can unselect this if this is something that you don't want to do. You can also run the metronome if that's something that you need to click track in your ear so that you can keep in time with the song. And so that 3, 2, 1 helps you, gets you to the point where you're getting ready to take off, and so you're prepped and ready to go. Now, what will happen is once you stop, you want to deselect this so you don't accidentally hit it and record an extra thing on top of yours, and then you got to clean out all that other crap. It's going to automatically put it just like this right here. Okay, just like this. And you don't just get one per, say, track 12 or whatever. You can record this as many times as you'd like. All you have to do is, okay, I did that one. That was a good take. I really like that one. Let's go ahead and do the same line again. Let's go ahead and see if we can get maybe a little bit better tone, maybe a better inflection, whatever. Okay, so send the guy back in. Go ahead, hit the record button, start again. What will happen is you'll get another track that will pop up, and so you can do exactly what this is done right here, where you can have one track, record it again, and you can cut, splice, do whatever you want. That, in a nutshell, is pretty much what it is about. I wish that I could do this full on for you guys, but unfortunately, that's something I cannot do because I don't have the ability to record and video at the same time and record my vocals here. It's just it's not going to work. So now that you have your track, okay, you can go in and you can select there to be certain things on that track, meaning effects. And this right here is your effects rack. I'm going to go ahead and take this off here so we don't have this in the way so it doesn't confuse people. Okay, so our imaginary track is going to be recorded on track in the rack. In the actual mixer rack, it's going to be recorded under insert number 9. And we are going to use the first and foremost, I would record with no effects on it at all. The reason being is you want to be able to make sure that you're getting as little background as possible as far as noise, and you want to make sure that it sounds good with nothing on it. If you have a vocal that sounds fantastic and then you add all your effects in it properly and, you know, go through the process of cleaning it and, you know, equalizing it, compressing it, doing all these different things, it's just going to amplify and make it sound even better. So you want to start with a good bass. So that's why I suggest that you never use, and this is kind of like an industry standard from everything that I've read and people I've talked to, you never put anything on your main track. Your flat track, your bass track for your vocals is never recorded with any kind of processing on top of it. You never ever want to put anything inside of the master track. Your master track is supposed to be clear of clutter. The reason being is all these processes are going through individually and then they're going out this way. So guess what happens if I put all kinds of crap in here and then I put crap in here in the master track? It is going to clutter up. I'm going to have all kinds of issues with clipping, and I'm going to be running my CPU into the ground. So that's never a good way of doing this. So now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead, and if this was my track or whatever, I'd go in and I'd do my effects and everything, okay? And you can select and deselect whether you want the effects on there or not. You can also run them to the master. Like I said, it's not really something I really care to do. I like to let it all slip in and let it do it when it's ready. So we're going to go back to 9. We're going to come down in here and we're going to add our different effects. So just to give you guys an example, I'm going to mute this track, which is the backup vocal on this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and completely reset this and just go blank. And before I do that, as I'm doing this process, I'm going to tell you guys something real quick, okay? I can get all of this done, right? And I can get to this process. But if I don't have a good recording, it's kind of useless, right? So what happens is you want to make sure that you're doing the processes correctly from beginning to end. And I say that for a number of different reasons. If I'm recording in an open space and I'm singing towards a wall and I've got my microphone set up on a stand and I've got a pop filter or without a pop filter. Some people would record without a pop filter. Okay, so let's take it down to the basic level. You're facing a wall. You're about 10 to 15 feet away from the wall. Maybe you're 4 feet away from the wall, whatever. And you're recording and you're singing in an open ambient room and you're right on top of the mic. You got the gain blasting and everything like that. You're going to come out with an overpowered and crappy sounding recording. And the reason being is because most rooms in your house are not acoustically treated, meaning that there is nothing to dampen the sound or absorb the sound from refraction off of walls, okay? So what you want to start off doing is you want to start off finding a room that suits what you're looking for as far as your acoustic properties. And I'm not telling you to bring in a sound engineer and take samples of different, dB ratings in this corner versus this corner and finding out the geometry. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there's a simple way of doing this, okay? You have a hard floor or whatever. Say it's a wood floor like I have in my house. The first thing you want to do is wherever you're going to have that mic, you want to put down a rug, something that's going to absorb that sound that's going to be bouncing down off the ground from the ceiling, right? The second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a corner. And this is very simple. You put your hands, cup your hands behind your ears, and you can yell into that corner and speak into that corner. And then you want to turn, and you want to find the corner that's getting the less sound back into your ears. So the quietest corner is the one that you're going to want to focus on. And what you'll see is that will break down some of the reverberation from and refraction of sound back to the microphone. Now, the back of the microphone, if I was to talk into this side, you're not going to have anything because there's different polar patterns of microphones. Microphones come in all kinds of different polar patterns, and each one is distinguished by whatever you're trying to do. Like this is a cardioid polar pattern. I mean, it's kind of like a heart. Okay, so you're less reception at the back of the microphone, better, more receptive at the front. So the reason why you want to have as much reverberation is because you're not so much worried about what's in front of you, you're worried about what's behind you. So I'm trying to break the reverberation in the front of me so it doesn't bounce back off the walls behind me and then come back into the mic where it's facing forward towards the singer. So there's a way that you can do this also. So now we've got a mic that's on top of a rug that is now limiting and lowering what sound is coming through the microphone. Then you also have the process of I'm facing a corner of my wall that is going to lower the reverberation. Okay, and that's a great thing. Now we're going to do something extra. We're going to put something up behind us. We're going to put up some kind of sound dampening material. So now it's getting trapped between these two areas, this corner in front of us and then this space behind us that's kind of breaking everything down. Now between those two things in a large room, you're probably going to get probably a really good sound. I did it in my huge room. This is 20 by 20, and it sounded fantastic on a hardwood floor with a lot of hard surfaces. This is a concrete brick, house too. This is cinder block, so it really sounded fantastic. So that's your basic thing. Your pop filter also. This is a windscreen. There's a difference between a windscreen and a pop filter. Pop filters are to take out your plosives, your T's, your S's, your P's, anything that's going to pop inside that microphone in the diaphragm and going to cause it to what they call redlining or clipping, where the mic just gets overwhelmed. Okay? So those three little things or four things are going to be very helpful to you as an individual when you're starting this process. So I'm now going to go into, I'm sitting here looking at them, 21 minutes. This is just how ridiculous this is. But, to do it justice, I got to do it. So I'm going to go for a few more minutes. I'm going to try to get this track done. And then we're going to call it end for this video. And we'll start the next video. Okay? So here's my track. I'm going to come back in and I'm going to close this. I'm going to make sure that everything is deselected except for the track that I want. And this is such a tedious pain in the butt thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyways. Okay. It should be just number one, but I'll leave those both because I've turned both of them down. Okay. So there should be really nothing coming through here except for...
She say, can't love you no more. She says my...
Now you hear that. I don't have anything on there. That's what's so crazy about this.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable.
Okay. So I had an excessive amount of reverb in there, so that's going to be a kind of a hurdle to get around because now I can't change the tone of the sound of the vocal. It's too heavy. So to be honest with you, I would probably skip over that process of putting a reverb in there because then it's just going to be too echoey. First thing I want to do is go to a compressor. I'm going to use FL compressor for this. Okay. Let's give it a listen.
She say, can't love you no.
Sounds like it's in a can. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and I've got this thing right over where I can't see. There we go. Let's just do this the simple way.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too...
Okay, I like this one. I'm going to bring the gain down just a little bit. But first I'm going to put this about, let's call it 12. No, 12.1. That's fine. I'm going to put this at, I'll just keep, I'm going to keep the attack at 0. I'm going to bring this down to 1 to 1, or let's do 2. It's so hard to get this thing even. 1.7.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable.
Let's crank this to 18 if 19.1. This is what I can't stand. When every time I roll it, it goes too high.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too...
Okay, so we got our compression done. So pretty much what you're going to do is, I wouldn't even mess with attack. I put the threshold, the ratio, and the gain. Leave it at that. Simple, easy, straightforward. Then I'm going to go in. I'm going to put my... In this case, I'm missing the reverb. I don't really feel like doing that. Delay. Some people like delay. I'm kind of half split on it. Sometimes it's nice. Sometimes it's not. It can be very overpowering at times. Now look here, okay? 120.2221, right? So I'm just going to go up. I'm going to go to 120. Jesus, every time it does that, it's so annoying. There we go. And I'm going to do it every second note.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
All right, let's do...
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
Go for...
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
Okay, so I got the input a little high on that. I should probably bring it down.
She
what I'm doing
say,
is...
can't love you no more.
That's not bad. Okay, so your input is how much you're going to put in. Your feedback is how much you're going to hear back, the actual sound. So I can turn this feedback all the way down, and if my input's still high, I'm still going to get some kind of feedback. Your BPM is really important because what it does is it matches the beat of the song. And so if you put it every fourth note, it's going to go for every beat. Every fourth one, it's going to do an echo. It's going to do a delay. So it's going to hold that note until the fourth, and it's going to release it. So that might be a little confusing to people.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable.
I kind of like that. It's not too crazy. FL limiter is going to be another thing that I'm going to add in here. Limiter. This is kind of an interesting thing.
She say,
you're seeing right now, this is the main. I can adjust all this. Your purpose is to try to keep this line as low as possible, but crank this one up as high, but not get it to the point where it's peaking, meaning it sounds like shit. So
she say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood.
That's good. So just those few things, and I know this isn't really in depth because I'm really going to have to come back and give this one an honest to God try. Let's go back in. Let's kick this one up. So this is very basic. I'm probably going to release all these at the same time because this is not going to make any sense for anybody that's trying to do something from scratch. They're going to be like, what the heck, dude, you screwed me over.
She say, can't love you no. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood.
Bring the limiter in.
She swears I'm up to no good. She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
And I'm going to tell you something right now. I think that this sounds good, but I think the reverb is actually going to probably... it's probably going to make it a little bit more full. Because right now it sounds like he's in a tube, and I keep doing this. Why are you doing this? I'm going to do this one. I'm going to try to find venue. There it is. venue. And adjusting the wet is going to be how like extremely reverbish it is. That's a horrible use of English. Let's try this.
She said, can't love you no. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
I think that sounds good. So, I think that sounds pretty good. Let me go ahead, come back in here, and we'll go ahead and take a listen and see how it sounds. I'm going to keep this one a little bit lower, and I'll back it up just one.
She say, can't love you no more. She says my life is too impeccable. She thinks I'm too Hollywood. She swears I'm up to no good.
I'm back, get you and your feelings, but you never relax. Feeling for your love, going on back. Feeling for your love, and I'm going outside.
I got bass boosting in it. Alright, so that's pretty much the basic of it, guys. I'm really sorry this is a 30-minute freaking video, and I didn't really cover as much as I hoped to. I will pick this up in the next video, which will be part 2 of how to record vocals in FL Studio. I will probably make a track, and actually it will be my voice this time, and you will actually hear me go from the beginning to the end. Now, obviously the recording is still going to be there, but we're going to go through the remixing, mastering, and all that stuff. So, thank you very much for your time, guys, and we will see you guys in the next video.